Ninja Kiwi just released update 3.3 patch notes, guys, with a ton of balance changes and some info on the new hero Fate Weaver Adora. So today we're going to do a deep dive into all of it and give my own personal thoughts. So let's hop right into it. Let's get it, guys. Alright, here we go, guys. Update 3.3. I'm really excited to go over these changes because this is a huge update, guys. Adding a new hero, lots of new stuff. So here we go. First things first, we have Fate Weaver Adora being added, the Adora ult. Now, a couple things that Ninja Kiwi said about Fate Weaver Adora. Fate Weaver Adora specializes in manipulating her opponents and turning their own strength against them. Fate Weaver swaps Adora's synergy with Super Monkey for her bad luck effect, which increases the cooldown of opposing hero abilities by 5%. Agent Jericho will have to wait a little bit longer before he helps himself to Fate Weaver's funds. This effect increases to 10% at level 11 and extends to all opposing monkeys at level 16. Fate Weaver's level 3 ability is Sharp Sting of Fate, a single high-speed, high-pierce attack that seeks balloons all across the map. It usually has a respectable 40-second cooldown between uses, but if your opponent tries to rush you with a balloon boost, the cooldown drops to a mere 8 seconds, so she's always ready for action. Wow, that's actually kind of crazy. It drops from 40-second cooldown to 8 seconds if the opponent balloon boosts at you. Next one, she wouldn't be Adora if she wasn't prepared to make a few sacrifices. Fate Weaver can sacrifice one of your own monkeys to place an Eye of Misfortune over the enemy hero, causing balloons to move faster when they get near, with higher values sacrifices increasing the duration of the effect. It also increases the amount of XP needed for the hero to level up, slowing down their advancement. Finally, Chains of Fate ability summons chains which grab nearby balloons and hold them immobile, dealing damage as they do. The damage is based on the value of the most expensive opposing monkey. So if your opponent has built a powerhouse like the true Sun God, they're going to have to work very hard to break through Fate Weaver's chains. Alright, so there's lots of new bling in the season, which is pretty cool. Next, we have Clan War changes. So Clan War changes is actually something I'm pretty interested about because Clan Wars have been pretty bland lately. So I want to see what they've changed. First, I said clans who manage to reach certain thresholds of medallions during a clan war will get extra golden bananas to help them complete the Bling season. Okay, that's a pretty good benefit because there was lack of incentive in Clan Wars currently. The Ruby and Black Clan League promotion zone is changing from top 3 to top 1. The Diamond Ruby League promotion zone is changing from top 3 to top 2. Clans will be automatically demoted if every player is inactive during a war. There is now 50 monkey money prize for playing your first clan war game each day. Okay, good. That's good, that's good. Good clan war changes so far, Ninja Kiwi. Good job on that. Bling quest reward changes. The rewards for Bling quests have been increased. Bronze quests 40, golden bananas to 60, silver quests 80 to 100, and gold 120 to 140. So it's easier to get Bling golden bananas because you get it in clans. But now you need more golden bananas overall for the quests. They also added new Bling quests overall and retired some old Bling quests. I'll just put the screenshots on the map. I'm not going to go over these entirely. And one other thing that's actually pretty interesting is there's a daily offer now in the shop every day. This item will be a cosmetic from a Bling season or hero showcase up to season 15 that you don't already own. So it bases it off of your own collection, which is pretty cool. It can be purchased for monkey money and refreshes every 24 hours, whether it's purchased or not. All right. Now we're on to the balance change, guys, which is always the part I'm most interested about. Besides the new additions, because like Fate Weaver Adora obviously is going to be really cool. But all right, here we go. Okay, the first balance change they did, guys, is they changed some of the balloon sins. They made the spaced purple balloon sin be more dense at 0.3 spacing instead of 0.4, and they buffed the group white balloon sin of doing 5 per set and balloon spacing of 0.07 instead of 3 per set and balloon spacing of 0.1. And their logic behind this basically is because people really never send spaced purples. They always send spaced whites or blacks, and they pretty much never send grouped whites. They always send grouped black balloons. So they're kind of buffing the other balloon sends to give more options for people rushing and equaling wise, which I kind of agree with. So yeah, it's a good balloon sends changes. Ninja Kiwi. Dart Monkey. X for X Super Monkey Fan Club deals 3 damage instead of 1 damage, and 4 damage when transformed by X5X instead of 2 damage. And then Plasma Monkey Fan Club deals 6 damage instead of 1, and 7 instead of 2 when transformed. Okay, so the first time I read this before I made the video, I thought this was actually pretty crazy, because obviously 3 damage instead of 1, that's like a 300% buff. But this is only the main dart that's being transformed. Like the one you actually upgrade to Super Monkey Fan Club or Plasma Monkey Fan Club. It's not the other ones like it transforms that's getting the buff. So this is a very small buff, but it does help the main dart, obviously. And the main dart will do a little bit more damage when it's not transformed. So I guess it's a buff to Dart Monkey still nonetheless, but it's not a huge buff. Sniper Monkey. Large calibers, $800 instead of $1,000 now. Shrapnel shots, $250 instead of $300. Semi-automatic, 2300 instead of 2500, and Elite Defender, 14.5k instead of 16k. Big buffs to the Sniper Monkey, dude. I am going to start trying the Sniper Monkey out because they have buffed this guy like every update for the last couple of updates, and I never really try it much. It definitely deserves to be used, so we'll give it a shot. They said Sniper is still not as strong as we would like. It lacks early game efficiency, and its bottom path is a little bit too expensive for what it does. So here's a few price cuts have been made. Fair enough. All right, we got Submarine now. Hopefully they nerf Sub. Sub is definitely one of the best towers right now. Submerged support decamo Pierce has been reduced from 100 to 75. The Reactor has been price nerfed from 2600 to 2800, and the decamo Pierce has been nerfed from 200 to 150. The X1X Barb Darts increases Solar Pierce still by 20%, and then the Heat Tip still increases by the same amount. And the XX2 Airburst Darts has been price nerfed from 700 to 800. So overall, nerfs to the decamo Pierce and nerfs to the pricing. I have currently not seen the decamo Pierce be a problem in any circumstance for the sub, but with these more nerfs, it might be. We'll have to wait and see. And they said sub still remains incredibly dominant. We previously lowered the decamo Pierce, and we do like the idea of making decamo options less reliable, but the change wasn't significant enough, so we are lowering the Pierce even further. With 3XX being less reliable now, this makes 4XX more appealing option, and so we have slightly bumped up the cost with that in mind. Lastly, we minimally increased the price of XX2 because sub doesn't need a great early game tower given all of its strong points. That makes sense. That's fair. Mortar Monkey, hopefully they nerf the Mortar. Mortar is definitely still one of the strongest towers in the game. Shell Shock has been nerfed from $1,100 to $1,300. Biggest one has been buffed from $7,500 to $7,300. Biggest one with the Shell Shock nerf is still $100. No, it's still the same price. It's still the same price. And then Signal Flare, the decamo Blast Pierce has been changed from 80 to 55. And Poppin' Awe buffs all X4X mortars by 4 damage instead of 6 damage. Okay, so yeah, these are definitely good changes for the mortar. I like that they nerfed the mortar late game, because that's one thing that was like always kind of weird to me, was how strong mortar was the late game with how good of like a mid game and early game tower it is. So yeah, good nerfs. It's actually crazy to think about that Shell Shock used to be like $950 and now it's $1,300. Like, they've nerfed mortar so much and it's still been such a good tower, so that's good. They said mortar is another tower that has maintained a dominant presence in the meta for a while now. Similarly to sub, we decreased the decamo Pierce so it can no longer be relied on consistently. 3XX also still as a top tier mid game option, and X5X buff resulted in mortar being a fantastic late game, giving mortar too many strong points. Fair enough. Wizard Monkey. Okay, Wizard definitely deserves buffs. Let's see what they did. Base price of the Wizard has been reduced from 300 to 250, so base Wizard's really cheap now. Archmage increased main attack Pierce from 4 to 6. Archmage got a buff. Wizard Lord Phoenix. Phoenix Lord main projectile damage 40 to 55. Okay, so they buffed Wizard a little bit. The Wizard Lord Phoenix buff actually might be a little bit noteworthy. 55 damage instead of 40 is quite the big buff. Wizard deserves some attention after being out of the limelight for a while now. Note that we've also indirectly buffed Wizard with the Zeely change, and we fixed a bug that allowed X5X to do a much stronger than 10. Okay, so they fixed the Wizard bug, but they also buffed Wizard Lord Phoenix, and they said they buffed a Zeely, which we'll get to, I guess, later, because it's not in the line of the balance changes that I'm reading yet. Super Monkey, they said no balance changes for the Super Monkey, although note there's a bug fix that was impactful for balance. They fixed the support sacrifice of the Temple guys, giving Super Monkey +1 damage, which is basically why I could use these Super Monkey strategies in my loadouts in my videos, which just spam Sun Avatars everywhere and just defended infinite stuff late game. So they fixed that, so Super Monkey's definitely not going to be as good as it once was, but it's a good balance change. You definitely need that. Ninja Monkey, okay, they have made the base Pierce of the Ninja 3 instead of 2. That is actually a huge change, guys. I don't think a lot of people realize how massive of a change it is, increasing the base Pierce of the Ninja by 1. That's going to make it so much better early game. That's a big buff. Double Shot of the Ninja now has Caltrops damage of 5 instead of 3. The Ninjutsu has Caltrops damage of 10 instead of 5. Okay, that's kind of crazy. And then Grand Saboteur ability slow down effect can soak through mob class balloons. Ability slow down effect can soak through mob class balloons. Does that mean like if you use the Saboteur ability, it damages mob class balloons that are currently on the map? I'm not exactly sure. Let me read what they said afterwards to see if they kind of elaborated. We've increased Ninja's early game potential since it stood out as a tower that had relatively low DPS in the early game, always depending on another tower to deal the damage or buff it. Additionally, we made X5X Ninja ability Stole more reliable by letting the slow effect soak through mob class balloons. Oh, it soaks through their balloons. So if you stole the ZMG layer, the BFBs and mobs from the insides will be stolen. That's what it means. Okay, that makes more sense. Druid. They have made the Superstorm 55k instead of 60k. That's actually a big change for the Druid. Dropping the Superstorm price by $5,000, and Druid is honestly one of a pretty solid option on some maps right now. I think it's definitely an underutilized hero, or underutilized tower. I've been using it a lot recently on like Oasis. It's super good, so that's a good change for Druid. 55k for the Superstorm. Superstorm used to be 65k not so long ago, so okay. Spike Factory, hopefully it's been nerfed. They said XX3 speed increase at the start of the round lasts for 5 seconds instead of 6 seconds. It was nerfed, but that's a pretty small nerf overall. I still think Spike Factory probably deserved to be nerfed more than 1 second of speed boost. They said, we like the previous change to XX3 and are glad to see this upgrade frequently being used now. However, it's a bit too strong and we would like to slightly lower the duration of the speed boost. Alright, Monkey Village. They have decreased the price of Monkey Intelligence Bureau by $2,000 and increased the price of Coal to Arms by $2,000. They said there aren't many strategies that depend on MIB, so we've made a decent price cut to it while increasing the X4 exit price so that the upgrade doesn't indirectly receive a buff. I guess that's fair, but I don't know. I just never really see MIB being, even at $5,000, I don't really see MIB being like a good option most of the time. Engineer Monkey, they made the Sentry Gun $50 cheaper. They made the 2XX Engineering from $400 to $350. They made the Pin $20 cheaper. They made the Sentry Expert $300 more expensive. So overall, if I do the math correctly, it looks like if you are getting a Sentry Expert, you're spending $200 more than before. So that's a nerf. And they made the Balloon Trap max cash per trap $750 instead of $1,000. So Balloon Trap also is going to give you $250 less at max capacity, which is a big nerf too. And lastly, they made the 5XX Sentry Champion. Sentries deal 260 damage when they explode and have an attack rate of 0.03 instead of 0.035. So I think that's like a 20% attack speed buff to Sentry Champion, and a decent damage buff if you explode them. Okay, so basically they buffed the super early game of Engineer, nerfed the Sentry Expert, nerfed the Balloon Trap, and buffed the Sentry Champion. Honestly, pretty good changes to this Engineer Monkey, in my opinion. Gwendolyn, they made the level 3 Cocktail have a max pierce per tick of 26 instead of 40, and they also nerfed Science Gwendolyn, having max pierce per tick of 40 instead of 60. Good nerfs to Gwendolyn, Science Gwendolyn. I honestly think they probably deserve to be nerfed a little bit more. I would have probably liked to see maybe a leveling nerf to both of the heroes, but I guess any nerf is better than no nerf. Gwendolyn's a really good hero right now. Azili. Level 2 Azili now gives Wizard Monkeys in range +2 Pierce. Okay. At level 2 Azili, that's really early on too, so Wizard Azili is going to be pretty strong now, I think. We wanted to give Azili some attention, decided to do so by focusing on our Wizard synergy, giving Azili the ability to make Wizards an even stronger early game tower. Makes sense. And then level 2 Smudge Cat now increases the pierce of Smudge Cat's main splash by 2 from 5 to 7. Okay, fair enough. Good changes, because Azili and Smudge Cat are definitely two of the weaker heroes right now. Pat Fusty, level 8 towers buffed by the Rallying Roar now temporarily gain the ability to pop all balloon types. Interesting. I still don't think that's near enough of a buff for Pat. Pat's definitely like the worst hero right now, and that is pretty nice to have it buff, have your towers be able to hit all balloon types, but I don't think that's enough. And then Fussy Snowman, Chilling Cheer gives ice towers 2x to 3x damage to mob class. I mean, they're buffing the level 8 Snowpat as well, but like you're not damaging mobs with your ice tower is the thing, really. I guess Icicle Impale does do some mob class damage late game for you, so that would buff that, but it's like buffing Ice's damage to mob class balloons is basically useless. The purpose of Ice is against balloons and to and like embrittlement to add damage for your other towers to hit the mob class. You know what I mean? So I don't know about that one. All right, we're on to the Jerichos. They nerfed the Jerichos, hopefully. Agent Jericho, level 9 to level 19, reduction in cost to fortified balloons no longer applies to BADs until level 20. Okay, so basically they did that for all 3 Jerichos. So you can't send BADs at a discounted price anymore until you get level 20 Jericho, which obviously you don't get level 20 Jericho in most games, so you no longer can send BADs for 25k. And it's the same thing for Star Captain Jericho, just with the increased health for fortified for Star Captain Jericho. And then the one other thing they changed for the Jerichos is they nerfed Highwayman additionally by making level 3 stand and delivers initial cooldown for Highwayman 60 seconds instead of 33 seconds, which is actually a huge nerf. You're gonna have to wait an additional 27 seconds for your first Highwayman Jericho steal, which will make a big difference. So I honestly would have liked Star Captain Jericho to be slightly nerfed with this steal as well, because in my opinion, Highwayman and Star Captain were on pretty equal footing as is, and they only nerfed Highwayman steal, but they didn't nerf Star Captain. So basically, I think most people who bring Highwayman are gonna just switch over to Star Captain Jericho now, in my opinion, and it's gonna be similarly as effective. Now, they said the Jerichos have consistently stayed dominant in the meta. While we do like the playstyle they introduce, we believe some small nerfs are warranted. Their ability to reduce the cost or increase the health of fortified balloons scaled very well as applied to all balloons and scaled up with ramping. We have changed that so no longer applies to BADs unless you put in some extra cash to reach level 20. Additionally, Highwayman's level 3 initial cooldown has been increased since he stood out as the dominant Jericho primarily for this ability. Okay, fair enough. And last but not least, we have Adora, who is buffed with its base cost going to 650 instead of 700, and the base pierce going from 5 to 6. So overall, honestly, I like lots of the balance changes. They balanced a lot of the things, like nerfing a lot of the things I was kind of looking for, buffing some of the underused stuff as well. One thing I would have liked to see that I did not see is probably some sort of bomb nerf. I guess they nerfed the Pierce of the Cluster Bomb recently. It probably deserves another nerf though. Maybe the Balloon Crusher, just something on the bomb. And probably a Star Captain Jericho steal nerf. But besides that, I think they did pretty well with this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below as always. And yeah, I'm really excited to use Fate Weaver Adora. It sounds really interesting off of the balance changes. So there will be a video about Fate Weaver Adora coming out whenever I get like the early access or whatever. So make sure to check that out. But that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Trying to hit 50,000 subscribers. I'm Mehalic out. Peace, lads.